This special session of the Marshall County Board of Supervisors, April 30th, 2025 at 9:01 a.m. in the courthouse, first floor meeting room. Notice to the public, the Board of Supervisors welcomes comments from the public during the time allowed for discussion. You are requested to approach the podium and use the microphone, state your name and address for the record, and limit the time used to present your remarks in order that others may be given an opportunity to speak. The normal process on any agenda item is for the chair to read the item from the agenda. The board is given an opportunity to comment on the issue and/or place a motion on the floor. An opportunity for discussion may be presented, at which time the public may participate in a roll call, and a roll call vote will follow. Roll call, please. Here.
Here.
Goodman.
Here.
Okay, if you would rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
I move that we approve today's agenda.
I'll second it.
Roll call vote, please.
Goodman.
Yes.
Kyle.
Yes.
Hibbs.
Yes. Item number 5, the proclamation of the National Day of Prayer. I will read this proclamation for the record. Proclamation by the Marshall County Board of Supervisors. Whereas the 74th observance of the National Day of Prayer will be held on Thursday, May 1st, 2025. And whereas the National Day of Prayer has been part of our national heritage since it was declared by the First Continental Congress in 1775, and the United States Congress in 1952 approved as a joint resolution that the President shall set aside and proclaim a suitable day each year, other than a Sunday, as a National Day of Prayer on which the people of the United States may turn to God in prayer and meditation at churches, in groups, and as individuals. And whereas the United States Congress in 1988 by Public Law 100-307 as amended established an act to provide for setting aside the first Thursday in May as the date on which the National Day of Prayer is celebrated. And whereas leaders and citizens of our communities, cities, states, and nations are afforded the privilege of prayer with the joy of seeking divine guidance, strength, protection, and comfort from Almighty God. And whereas recognizing the love of God, we, citizens of Marshall County, Iowa, treasure the freedom to gather in prayer, exercising reliance on God's power in the face of present challenges and threats, asking for His blessing and protection on every individual of our county. And now therefore be it resolved that the Marshall County Board of Supervisors and I, Carol Hibbs as Chair, do proclaim May 1st, 2025 as National Day of Prayer and Fasting. We are praying that God's presence be poured out among us, on our government, our businesses, our schools, our families, and homes as never before. We are asking for a day set apart to seek God, choose and commit to Him as we approach the challenges ahead. We pray for Marshall County to be used, set apart as a shining beacon of hope and life for the nations, and that all those gathered here experience God's blessings as we choose and commit to His heart for us. In witness thereof, on this 30th day of April 2025. Carol Hibbs, Chair, Marshall County Board of Supervisors.
We don't need any action, just the proclamation has been proclaimed.
Just the proclamation, and it will be delivered tomorrow evening at the community event for the National Day of Prayer as well.
Great.
I believe I will be reading that. Okay.
Where will that be held?
That's at the Coliseum. So they had asked Jarrett to actually come and I don't know whether you welcome and then do the proclamation, but he has a track meet for his daughter, so I'll be doing that.
What time is that?
6:30 to 8. Okay.
And in the past, it's been on the courthouse grounds in like the noon hour prior to the tornado. And
Yeah.
we'll have to talk to the,
See if they are
those in charge,
interested
see-
in
bring
coming
it back.
back. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Item number 6, Marshall County FY 2025 Iowa DOT Secondary Roads Budget Amendment.
And on the attachment, you might notice it says version 1. That's the amendment. Version original is apparently it's the original version, and then they go to version 1. They don't go to 2.
Okay.
1 is apparently version 0. But anyway, this is just an amendment that reports to the DOT basically the same changes that we made to our fiscal 25 budget in our budget process. So it's using the same numbers. There are less categories, so more things are actually just kind of bunched together. But the big numbers at the end are the same as our current approved budget.
Okay. Any questions for Paul?
All right, I'll make a motion to approve the Marshall County fiscal year 2025 Iowa DOT secondary roads budget amendment.
I'll second that.
Okay. Without further discussion, roll call vote, please.
Goodman,
Yes?
Hicks,
Yes.
Kyle,
Yes.
Okay. Item number 7, Marshall County fiscal year 2026 Iowa DOT secondary roads budget.
And this is the same story on the fiscal 26 on our recently put together our budget for fiscal 26. And it's the report to the DOT. We present what we have as our local budget and what we see as revenues, and same numbers as our current fiscal 26 budget.
Okay. I would entertain a motion.
I move that we approve the Marshall County fiscal year 2026 Iowa DOT secondary roads budget.
I'll second.
Okay. Roll call vote, please.
Goodman,
Yes?
Hicks,
Yes.
Kyle,
Yes.
Okay. Item number 8, Marshall County fiscal year 2026 secondary roads 5-year program. What can you tell us about that, Paul?
This is our annual 5-year plan that we turn into the DOT, and it lines out what we're planning to do, intending to do in the next 5 years. Also, it outlines what we estimate costs to be and the funding sources to be, and that's really the dance, is to come up with the funding, because our funding can come from so many different sources. And especially this program, because we've got a C-STEP project in there and we've got a RISE project in there, and we're programming things that haven't actually been funded yet, so there's a little bit of hope in this too. But if you want, I can go over the projects that we have in our accomplishment year, which will be fiscal 26 and 27 if you want. I don't know if you want to go through everything on the program. There's a summary at the end that discusses how much we have programmed in each of the fiscal years.
You want to
The
do a brief overview of
Sure.
this coming year?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
If you want, we can wait for aerial imagery. And I don't know if you guys have the attachment out in front of you, or you.
Yeah, I'm looking
okay.
at it.
On the first thing in the accomplishment year is a joint project. Jasper County is replacing a bridge down on the county line. I think it's east of Hart. And that is that's a 50-50 split, and they're gonna build that with their bridge crew. And then we're gonna have a pretty good sized paving year, resurfacing next summer. We're gonna do Shady Oaks from Marshalltown city limits down to just short of Highway 30. And that's in pretty sore shape. The other big one is going to be, we're gonna resurface the entire length of E29 from Marsh all the way to the Story County line. So that's gonna be
Really?
that'll be a big project. That's,
Big
that's,
project.
it's like 11 11, it's almost 12 miles is what we've got there. So we'll have, pushing, 14 miles of resurfacing, so we should be able to get some pretty good bids on that work, because it's a lot of tons. More than we normally do in a given year, but it worked out with our FM balance, and we thought if we've got federal aid on the E29 project too, so that's, of the $2.8 million that we're estimating on that, 1.9 is federal aid, so that helps out quite a bit with that job. And then the other one is C2, which that's the bridge that's just north of Liscum. It's on Langford Avenue, so it's that Dowd Creek right there. And in fact, it's the same creek that we're looking at with C1, where we're considering that low water stream crossing. And then we will try to get, C2, the project development has to progress. It's not set for letting like this winter yet, but if we can get it let, in the spring, late spring, we could still potentially get it built next summer. So that's why we left that in there, because we just want to keep getting the bridges replaced as fast as we can, but it all comes down to just the project development schedule. And that pretty much covers what we've got in fiscal 26 programmed. 27 is where I programmed out the C-step project for the improvements of Benford Avenue and Highway 30 intersection. And we may still be waiting for a couple months on that being considered as far as the C-step funding. And I did find out also yesterday that our RISE application was sent to the state. So, and I got a confirmation email back that they received it and it will be considered.
It's official.
So that's in. And that's also programmed in 27.
Will those stay in 27 if approved, or is there a chance those will move?
Well, the thing is, fiscal 27, starts July 1 of 26. So
Right.
if we got, project development had plans ready to go and we can get it through a letting, we could actually let it after July 1st.
Okay.
I haven't talked with Kevin Blood about their timeline as far as when they're going to start doing big stuff
Expansion,
out there
yeah.
around their expansion. There's going to be a lot of concrete paving out there as far as just getting the foundation in for these, giant barns.
Yeah.
And the roadways that go up to them and stuff. So I've got to get kind of his what he's got on the board.
Timeline, yeah.
I still have the TAP project on there where we're looking at doing the trail crossing improvements, where the places where the trail that's down off of 330 crosses our rock roads, because you have those areas where there's a couple 100 feet or 500 feet of rock that the trail riders have to ride on. Several of our trail users don't use bikes that really are happy on rock. I've got a couple bikes like that I wouldn't necessarily want to ride on a rock road. And so I think we can still get the TAP funding, and it's just a matter of we have to reapply for it because the costs have gone up. So I want to apply for more TAP funding than I was originally doing. So I'll have something in resolution form that'll come from Marty Wymore that will get that funding application updated. And I'm still leaving in there the paved runouts on 330 that would be opposite of the side where the trail crossings are at. Because what I do is I bring that, have you seen how when we do a primary job that we will elect to pave out 50 feet, 75 feet? Just basically what that does is it keeps our motor graders out of the traveled way of the primary road. And we won't have a chance to do that on 330 as cheap as we would if we did it at the same time when we have these trail runouts going on. So I'm going to do the ones on the north side of 330 as well, but that's going to have to be local money because it's just short stretches. But with a project like that, the biggest cost, one of the large costs, is going to be traffic control, because we're talking about traffic control on 330, and I don't even know how to estimate what that's going to cost because there's so many different sites. we'll see what we do when we bid, but as far as our local job, getting that done, that'll be the cheapest time to do it. So I'm gonna try to keep that local improvement project in step with the TAP project, just to try to get some cost savings. So that's pretty much the short list stuff. You know, we did talk about the project at State Center, Eastman intersection with, right at the north city limits of State Center, and I do have that programmed on here. And I think I've got it in, is it 28? Got a few irons in the fire here. But it is, it's in 2028 because there's just so many unknowns there. I'm gonna deal with getting engineering proposals from, I'm gonna ask Snyder, of course, because they did the study for State Center, so they're familiar with the intersection. And then I'm also gonna ask Clapsaddle Garber for a proposal just to see if they're, if they would, it's kind of, sort of thing they work on quite a bit too. The biggest concern I have is that we can get that intersection relocated with just impacting that parcel right at the intersection, because there's another parcel to the north. So I don't know if you want to zoom in and kind of see what we're talking about. Right now, I'm just hoping that we can get the entire project just concerning right-of-way acquisition from that parcel there. And then there's a chance, though, we may need to get some acquisition from that next parcel to the north, and I'm hoping to avoid that, but that'll come out in project development. With the 35-mile-an-hour speed limit posted there, I think we can get a set of reverse curves that'll get into that, not. So you can kind of see what we're looking at there, but. Do you have any other questions on anything you're seeing in the program, or anything that as far as things that you want to know why they're where? And virtually everything, as far as the timing of the projects, it can be changed. Just because it currently is in fiscal 28 doesn't mean it has to stay in 28. We can, if project development or something, happens, that can cause us to accelerate the project, we can do that. If we have, hiccups or something that we know that we can't get a project done, we can just scoot it back a year, and we modify that every year. So this is kind of the best guess right now.
Okay. Any other questions or comments for Paul?
No, thanks for the update on that and keeping up on everything, so we appreciate it.
That's helpful.
Thanks, Paul.
I would entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion to approve Marshall County fiscal year 2026 secondary roads 5-year program.
I'll second that.
Okay. Roll call vote, please.
Yes?
Hibbs?
Yes.
Ives?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you.
Moving on to public forum, time set aside for the public to make comments on topics of county business other than those listed on the agenda. No action will be taken on any of these topics brought up in the public forum. Paul has his hand up first, Nan.
Just kind of a heads up that I've got several residents that are considering doing road vacations. And I usually try to work with them as much as I can on a road vacation, and I know that as long as we don't have any adjacent landowners that are objecting to it, usually we can do this. One that we are going to be considering is this piece of Iowa Avenue just east of the city limits. And it could be kind of complicated because the DOT was involved at one point. This is old. It's Old Highway 30. But you can see from where that purple line is on the west side of that property, that's the city limits, out to the end of that road, that's our right of way. And it doesn't do anything for anybody, except for Rasmussen's right there, and they're the ones that want to pursue the vacation. But on this one, it's to our benefit to get this vacated because we don't gain anything by maintaining a little,
Yeah,
couple tenths of a mile right away. The cost, there could be a cost in searching out doing a title search on it, because a lot of the DOT right away is owned like by fee title. And usually we have just an easement, which that's easy. We take the easement out, we vacate the easement, and the land goes back to just being where the lines were at. But if they own it by title, then there has to be a transfer, and we've got to find out who owns it. And on the east end of that piece, you can see there's a point where it becomes Highway 30 right away.
right.
So I've got to figure out,
What-
where, what the DOT sees as
Yeah.
excess right away. Because you can kind of see where that north right of way line of Highway 30 would extend on to, right at the east side of that picture there. But I don't know on parcels. There
Have you
could
talked
be
to Sarah? And
No, and I need to do the transfer of jurisdiction. I need to find the right-of-way documents, because I think I can find the original purchase of the right-of-way. I guess what I'm wanting to know is, I feel like it's okay if we pay the title search cost, because it benefits the county
us
to get this done.
Vacate that, yeah.
So, I mean, it could be a few $100s, it could be a little more than that, depending on how, but I just wanted to clear with you guys that it's okay that the county's paying for that.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Because I just want to get that, I'd like to
So,
get that cleaned up.
I do have a question, though. The fields on the north side, how do they access that?
There is access,
I mean, I can see where it looks like they're crossing a creek up there.
and
but-
it's owned by Burns, and they would have to be in favor of anything we did. And
Yeah, is that wrong?
there's more than one
Oh,
owner on that, I think.
Okay.
If you click on it, you can see how many. See, it's
oh,
quite
I see. Yeah,
Ron's in there.
yeah, yeah.
But, and
Okay.
that would basically, I think it's the only two landowners that would be involved with it, would be it.
Yeah, I'm just trying to see whether they access the field from the road there. It doesn't look like it.
And if you go north, I think they can access it from the north too.
I think they access it,
There's another on,
yeah.
Yeah,
is that Hibbs?
yeah.
Merle Hibbs Boulevard. So, yeah, and that's what I tell when people ask me about vacating roads. We can't landlock a parcel, and we can't vacate anything if one of your neighbors is objecting to it, because in my history here, if anybody vacates or anybody objects to a vacation, it fails.
It doesn't happen.
Yeah,
All right, I just wanted to kind
Yeah.
of talk about that with you.
Thank you.
and
Nan.
I have a couple items. First, the Phyllis Perry Holton scholarship selection meeting will be Monday, May 5th. We're at 5:15 PM. We are doing that at the Election Center. We've done that the past several years, but just wanted to inform. I have ran that by the state previously, and anybody else that wants to hand out scholarships to any of our local high school kids, I will open up that building and sit there in the office happily to allow that to happen for our local high school students. Also, our office is wearing denim today, the Iowa Secretary of State's office, and this is the last day of April, and it's for raising awareness for misconceptions surrounding sexual assault awareness. And so we're supposed to take a picture of our group and send a photo in. And we did receive some sad news yesterday. One of the Secretary of State's staff, who we've worked with the entire time I've been here at the county, passed away from cancer. So we were saddened to hear that. He was a great guy and great to work with. So it's going to be hard for them because they've all
Yeah.
worked with him quite a while. But so
Do you want to state his name?
Wes Hickok, great guy, great guy. So it's weird how you form those relationships with those folks you work with in the different state offices. You really do.
Okay. Thank you. Anything else?
I think that's it.
Okay. Anyone else? Anything for public forum? Okay. We'll move on to adjournment. The next regular session is Wednesday, May 7th at 9 a.m. at the courthouse. First floor meeting room right here. All business to be acted upon at that session should be submitted to the county auditor and recorder's office or the Board of Supervisors office by today at noon. There being no further business to come before the meeting, we are adjourned at 9:26.
There's a couple signatures, and then we're moving into a parking meeting.